Welcome to this eLearn Security video training lesson on HTTP cookies and sessions. In this video, we're going to explore how websites use HTTP cookies to keep track of user sessions and manage authentication to a restricted area. We'll also start using one of the most useful and powerful add-ons used to test web applications, which is Firebug. The web application we're going to use is Cookie.site, a simple administrator area in which the administrator can manage the website of his company. Before starting, as a support for our tests, let's install Firebug. To do this, let's open the Iceweasel menu, Add-ons, and let's search for Firebug. The first result is the add-on we want to install. So let's click Install on the right. Here we go. The add-on's been installed. Firebug does not require a restart of the browser, and we can use it immediately. To use this tool, we can click the Firebug icon on the top right menu or hit the F12 on the keyboard. Once started, Firebug appears on the bottom of the page, but we can change the location and many other features at our own pace, just by visiting the menu on the top left of Firebug. To analyze the web application, Firebug provides several panels. The first one is the console. This panel allows executing JavaScript commands and observes console messages. We can also inspect and manipulate the DOM, CSS, and the scripts contained in the current page. Another useful panel is Net, which allows us to analyze the network traffic. So, all of the requests are done, as are the respective responses. So for example, let's select the HTML view and reload the content of this page. We can select multiple view, but for our tests, this one is enough. As we can see, we have a GET request to the root of cookie site. Let's click on the first GET request. As we can see, Firebug organizes the connection by headers, response, and so on. In the request headers, we can see the header we sent during the request of this page. And also the response header sent from the server. The response tab contains the body of the response, in this case, the content of this page. The HTML tab shows the rendered content, and cache contains information about the browser's cache. The latest Firebug panel is reserved for cookies and will be our friend in this video. Here we can inspect, create, and manipulate the cookies, but we'll go back on this in a minute. First, let's log into the administration area using our credentials. As we can see, in the Cookies panel, we have a new cookie. Its name is self-explanatory. We have a new session within the administration area. All of the information about this cookie is represented in this line. We have a cookie named PHP SESS-ID, which is the main way PHP uses to handle sessions. As a value, there's a random sequence that identifies our session. The scope of this cookie is identified by the fields, domain that is set to cookie.site, and the path that is root. There is a field that defines the lifetime of the cookie. In this case, this is a session cookie. So when we close the browser, the cookie will be automatically deleted and we will need to log in again. The other two fields define if the cookie is HTTP only and thus can be handled only via HTTP connection excluding JavaScript, while the security field establishes if the cookie must be sent over secure connections, such as HTTPS. To better understand some parameters, let's do some tests. First of all, let's delete this cookie and see if after refreshing this page we need to log in again. As we can see, we need to log in again because our cookie jar is empty and the application doesn't recognize us. Let's log in again, and another test we can do is about the lifetime of the cookie. It is a session cookie, so if we close the browser, we should lose our session because the cookie will be deleted. And in fact, the site does ask us to log in again. This is because, as we can see from Firebug, we don't have any valid cookie for this application. Let's log in once again, but this time, let's perform some tests on the HTTP-only flag of the assigned cookie. As we said before, if the flag is not set, we can even access this cookie via JavaScript. So, let's open the console panel and read the cookie from JavaScript. To do this, the syntax is simple. The cookies are stored within the document object. So, calling the cookie property, we can see the cookie defined for this origin. Let's type document.cookie and hit enter. And this is the content of our cookie jar for the origin cookie.site. We can alert this content or perform any kind of operation because this cookie is not protected. Let's change the HTTP-only flag of this cookie to enabled. So, from the cookie panel, let's right-click on the cookie and select the Edit option. Let's put a tick to the HTTP-only flag and hit the OK button. Now, our cookie is no longer accessible via JavaScript. Let's repeat our previous tests to check if it's true. By typing in the console the command document.cookie, we can see an empty string. This means that we don't have in our cookie jar cookies for this domain that are ready to be used with JavaScript. And of course, if we want to alert the document cookie, the result will be an empty alert message. So this is how the HTTP-only flag protects our cookies. Let's now analyze what happens if we log out from the web application. As we can see, we are logged out and redirected to the login page, but the cookie is still there. So what happened? The web application has just invalidated the content of our session, and therefore, this cookie is no longer valid. We need to log in again and obtain a new valid cookie. In fact, we just obtained a fresh session cookie. As of the latest analysis, let's explore how the cookie protocol works. To do this, we can use Burp Suite in a similar fashion, as we did in the HTTP headers video, or also by continuing using the Net panel in Firebug. First of all, let's log out from the application so we can initiate a new communication. Then in the Cookies panel, let's remove all the cookies using the menu cookies. Remove cookies. Now in the Net panel, let's clear the history of the requests and then reload the page in order to generate some requests. Let's filter the HTML requests by selecting the tag HTML in the list. This is our first request to the cookie site. Here, we ask the home page, and the server has replied with this content. Inspecting the response headers, we can see that there's no cookie header, so probably we need to perform a login operation. Let's perform our login. As we can see, we have two requests in our history. The first is a post operation and is our login. In fact, opening the Post tab, we can see our login parameter, that is the username and the password. In the header section, we can see a special header that is setCookie. Using this header, the server is telling our browser to store a cookie named phpSESSID with that value in his cookie jar. In fact, visiting the cookie panel, we can see that the cookie has been stored. Finally, the header location says to redirect the browser to the admin path. And in effect, we have the second request. This time, a GET one that is done to the path admin, which is our administration area. Analyzing the headers in this request, we can see that the browser sent the session cookie. In this way, we can say, hey, I'm authenticated. This is my session identifier, and you can check that it's valid. Clearly, if we delete this cookie from our cookie jar, the browser won't send the cookie, and the web application will ask us to log in. And this concludes the video lesson on HTTP cookies and sessions. Thanks very much for joining us.